When the Miller family from Madison, Wisconsin set out on a camping trip in the forest, they chose a spot next to the river to set up camp. But in this river, there was a brown bag floating around, and it was sounding like strange noises coming from it. The family just had to know what was inside of it. In hindsight, they wished that they just packed up their things and chose a different camping spot. What was inside the bag? How could it have been making those strange sounds? But before we start, smash the like button and make sure to subscribe if you haven't, and hit that notification bell so that you won't miss any new stories. It was just supposed to be an ordinary camping trip like the Miller family had had so many of in the past. Just the four of them enjoying the great outdoors together in peace. They had even picked out a beautiful place that they were going to camp for the night. Jason, the father of the family, had been excited ever since he first heard about this spot from a colleague at work. He was told by the colleague that he just kept hearing these strange sounds at night. They were camped up close to the river, and the colleague speculated that the sounds were coming from there, but he could not place what they were. Jason wondered what it could be, but the colleague hadn't seemed concerned about it and continued to camp there, so Jason let it go. When the Miller family arrived that first day, it was already really late and thus dark. But the family was also tired as could be, so they decided to just sleep in the car for now and put up the tent first thing in the morning. In the morning, they would get up and have a great day on the lake as a family. And Jason was sure of it, but it would not be peaceful for long. In the morning, Jason and Macy quickly started setting up their tent while the kids were playing in the forest. At some point, Jason's youngest son, Sebastian, came up to him. He had spotted something in the water. There was a brown bag floating in the water when Jason and Macy looked. Sebastian was asking if they should go and get it. He wanted to see what was in the bag, as it seemed to be just floating out there, waiting. And Jason promised his son that if the bag was still there the next morning, he would go and check it out. Today they were going to take a long hike. Sebastian accepted this, but for the rest of the day he would not stop speculating what could be in the bag. That night was a lot less peaceful and quiet than the night before. It all started around midnight when Jason was suddenly rudely awoken by strange sounds. All of the family was hearing the noises, and the kids were actually pretty scared. And Jason finally went outside with a flashlight but could not see anything out of the ordinary. All he managed to determine was that the sounds were seemingly coming from the direction of the water, just like his colleague had told him. The next day, Jason got out of bed very early. He stepped under the shower and put the shower as cold as he could handle. He does this more often than not. In this way, he would be more awake and could react faster if he had to flee the scene. Jason told Macy what his plan was, then he was going to search for the bag. While they ate their breakfast, they discussed what the best plan was. The best option was to get in the same canoe. They walked towards the river when they heard the noise again. They hopped in the canoes and started paddling down the river. Out of nowhere, the sound came back. They were close, they knew it. There it was. In one of the sun rays, he saw part of the brown-orange bag. They had to paddle upstream a little bit, which turned out to be a hard-fought battle. With one of the paddles, Macy grabbed the bag and pulled it in front of the canoe. It seemed to her that this was a waterproof bag. They went back to the side of the river and pulled the canoe out of the river. It was finally time to open the bag. Jason's mouth fell open when he saw it. Could it really be? Who would make noise like this? They pulled it open at the same time. At first, Macy couldn't see what it was, but when she saw it, screamed so hard the children woke up. In the bag there lay a Bluetooth speaker, which made this sound. He always thought it was something alive that made these sounds. He asked why Macy was screaming, and she said that he needed to look better. There it was. In the bag was a clown mask. It scared the living out of Jason. Who would do something like this, and why was it in the bag? At that moment, the owner of the camping came towards them. He said he heard Macy screaming and asked what happened. Macy said that they found a mask of a man in the bag. The man started laughing and knew who that bag was. It was his. Macy and Jason didn't understand and asked the man for an explanation. He said he kept it there because every time they had visitors, he wanted to do a prank. He kept it in the river with the sound on to keep people away from it. He was planning to do it this time. Because the Millers looked like a family, would handle it and laugh about it afterwards. Jason and Macy were both flabbergasted and wondered why someone would do something like that. But both their sons couldn't stop laughing. The idea alone made them dying of laughter. Jason called his colleague and told the story. The colleague couldn't believe it and was still a little suspicious about it. But Jason convinced him everything was fine. The Millers had a blast the rest of their camping trip. The camping owner was a really nice man with a good sense of humor and a lot of stories to tell. The man himself had also experienced many nice and exciting things in his life. And the Millers promised that they will visit him again and went back home. They still tell this story to their friends. They were in such disbelief that they were still not sure if the story the camping owner told them was true,